So Japanese golf clubs, a little bit like German cars, they're renowned and they are considered by many to be the best in the business. But if you want a set, generally they're going to be setting you back a lot of money. And a brand that we're going to be looking at today is no exception. Hey everybody, Peter Finch here, and welcome down to Stockport Golf Club on a beautiful morning here, nice and fresh with a little bit of rain last night, and similar to the last time I was here, I'm feeling energized, full of life. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, get down into those comments, let me know what you think about Japanese golf clubs in general, and whack that like button as well. It will give you many long years of happiness, prosperity, and love. Maybe, I don't know. Now the golf clubs I'm going to be hitting specifically today are Honma. Now Honma were originally formed back in 1959, but they became a bit more of a household name, especially here in the West, about 2010 when they were bought out by investors. And since then, the brand has actually gone on to sell over $300 million worth of equipment worldwide. They're a big player, but they're still mostly known in those Eastern markets. And probably the thing they're most known for is their Beres range, which includes gold drivers, infused with gold, painted with gold, gold, expensive stuff. I'm pretty sure the president of Japan actually presented Donald Trump with one of these drivers that was like encrusted with diamonds and all sorts of crazy stuff. Now they've been trying to break into a more mainstream Western golf market for a few years now. In 2019, they signed world number one Justin Rose in a pretty powerful move. And literally the event after he signed, he went on to win. And everyone thought, okay, hello. But then Justin Rose went on a really bad run of form, and he's now actually ditched his contract with Honma. And in many eyes, we're talking about one of the most consistent golfers in the world here in Justin Rose. And many people saw that as a massive blow for Honma. But I'm excited because I've never actually hit any Honma clubs at all. There's a treat. And today I'm going to be hitting some of the irons and the driver as well. But I'm also going to be talking about Japanese golf clubs in general and which are the best ones out there at this moment in time. There'll be some that you've heard of, and there'll probably be some that you haven't. So what are the clubs that I'm testing out today? Well, the first one is this, the TR20 driver. Now this is in the 440. They also do a 460 version. It's got an interesting movable weight technology within the club head. So it's got 3 different weights, and they can be interchanged, as you can see here, between the back of the club, the front of the club, and then the bottom left. And this is to change flight, spin characteristics as well. Club head is a titanium and carbon mix, and I've got to be honest, I absolutely adore the look of this driver. Now it's only in a stiff shaft, so it's not going to be suited exactly for my game, but when you look down on this club, it just looks beautifully simple. A very classic type of design. There's nothing fancy when you look down on it, it's just a pure club head. Now it's not cheap, this is going to set you back 600 quid at retail here in the UK. So again, it's on the expensive side, but this is actually one of Honma's more affordable drivers because they've got so many products. And this is probably my first criticism of them as a brand. When you go onto the websites, it's so unclear the type of clubs that could be right for you. And the 2 irons that I'm going to try are also from the TR20 range. Now this is the P and the V. Now one of these is a cut cavity, so it's got a little space behind the club head. This is going to be more powerful, more suited to players that want a little bit more launch and probably a little bit less spin on their irons. So it's going to launch high, spin less. I think that's what they're aiming for. Then there's the V version, so the TR20V, and this is going to be based at the better player. Slightly better looking iron in my opinion when I place it down. It's just got less of a thick top line. It just looks a little bit more playable behind the ball. They're both forged, and I've got to be honest, I absolutely love the little Honma logo, the little mole. So peeking its head out. Boop, boop, boop. I'm easily pleased. Now what I'm going to do at Stockport is head out and play 3 holes with these clubs, just getting used to them, understanding a little bit more about them. But before any of that, let's have a little bit more of an in-depth look at some of the other Japanese brands that you should be interested in.
Throw your minds back to many centuries ago when the master craftsmen in Japan were forging samurai swords. And now the skills of this art, handed down through generations, has become the backbone of Japanese golf manufacturing. Or maybe not, maybe it's the modern post-war infrastructure set in place around modern Japanese steel. I mean, I know one's a little bit more romantic, so we'll go with that one. But let's have a look at some of the other Japanese brands which are out there. Some you may be familiar with, some you may not. And let's start out with many golf club connoisseurs' #1 golf club in the world, and that's Miura. So considered among many golf aficionados, Miura is apparently the best feeling golf iron in the world. Apparently Tiger at his peak was using Miura clubs just with that Nike logo stamped on it. And it is apparently the unique forging process that Miura go through to produce this iron. And listen, I don't know enough about forging processes. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a chemist. But all I know is that for 300 pounds an iron, it should be pretty good. And have you hit Miura irons before? I've not heard anything but unbelievably positive things about them. But I would love to get my hands on some. Now, next brand we're going to be having a little bit of a look at is Vega. Now, Vega are probably a less known quantity than many of the other Japanese brands, but you remember how I was hamming up all this samurai sword making, craftsman stuff? Check this out. This is the intro on their website. About 100 years ago, the first golf course in Japan was built in Kobe. Been to Kobe, by the way, very nice. At that time, there was no golf club production in Japan, but coincidentally, it was the area around Kobe which was famous for metalwork, especially the forging of samurai swords. A highly skilled traditional craft. These sword making skills have been passed down through generations of my family. As in, so on the website, not my family. My family have never forged swords. I don't think they've ever forged anything. Apart from relationships in a pub, I suppose. Now, Vega produce all golf clubs, so from irons all the way through to drivers. And putters, of course. And they are very much, like I said, an unknown quantity to me. So as well as being founded by a samurai sword maker, they do look just really nice. I mean, they've got some more modern aspects on there, but they've got that traditional beautiful blade as well. Certainly going on the list to try. There are a few other brands as well, but the last one we are going to look at is Mizuno. Now, they're probably the most well-known Japanese brand, certainly within golf, and they managed to get that piece of marketing, which I think is just absolutely genius, where their slogan actually plays out in reality. Nothing feels like a Mizuno. It is an unarguable point. Isn't that just brilliant? Isn't that just amazing? You see so many slogans and so much crap that companies come out with, but Mizuno have actually stumbled across one that fits, that works, and that no one disagrees with. How amazing is that? I think because of that, the name has become really synonymous with amazing irons. But Mizuno are a brand which you really should pay attention to as far as their wedges, as far as their fairway woods, and as far as their driver now. Mizuno are actually making a good driver. Like, what is the world coming to? I use the MP20, so I've got the 8 and the 9 iron in the blade. I've also got the wedge in the blade as well. Look at that. Oh, stop it. Look how shiny it is. Ooh, hypnotizing. What are you on about? But I've got the Vokey in the bag rather than that pitching wedge. And as far as this Honma test is concerned, it's the Mizunos which I'm really benchmarking them against because that's the brand that I'm most familiar with. But get down into those comments. Let us know your favorite Japanese brand of golf clubs. I love to expand my knowledge and I'd love to learn more. Right, back to the golf course and back to testing out these Honma irons.
So hopefully you found it interesting and insight into these Japanese brands. Currently on the 6th hole here, which is a par 5, only 500 yards, but it's back into wind. And this driver, as soon as I put it down, I can see there's just way too much loft on here. For me, anyway, I think this is set at 9.5 degrees. I will reiterate again, as soon as I put this down, I think that is a stunning looking driver just because it is so simple. It makes an amazing contrast between this and my TaylorMade, my Sim, which I also really like, because it's got all the carbon on, it's got the graphics, it's got the two tones between the chalk white and then like the grey, but this is just pure black on the top, simple, beauty, simplicity. It's amazing how something so simple can actually invoke a strong reaction. Maybe that's because a lot of the other stuff out there isn't like this at all. Well, first swing of the day, I'm going to need something forgiving. Just a nice smooth swing here with this shaft, just got a nice and gentle. It just before that middle bunker, I think. So I hit another drive off the tee. Look at those two. So early indications would suggest it's consistent. I have to say, I mean, they're not gone very far. I think it's only like maybe 250 off the tee, but it wasn't a very powerful swing, and the feel and the look, really enjoyed that. So I'm just going to hit a 4 iron, just trying to lay up to the left of the bunkers. So just to the left of the bunkers here, just leave a little pitch in. First up, the TR20V. Morning. Just want to try and keep this face nice and clean. Surprisingly enough, don't feel that nice out of the thinny heel. Love the fact that this isn't a wedge, it is a 10 iron. I think everything should be a 10 iron rather than a wedge. 10 iron so much cooler. Oh, spin on that. That felt lovely. The first shot spun back off the green there. Lovely distance control. I don't know why I missed it so far right. I think I found a new favourite thing with this 10 iron. No, slope. Go! 10 irons, eh? Who'd have thunk it? So between these two irons, the TR20V, it definitely looks better to my eye. Just gonna try and basically keep this left-hand side of the fairway, peels back a touch. That's fine. Oh, but it's gone left. Oh, he's kicked out right. Something about Stockport with me. Trees just like me. Oh. So one thing about this driver, which I might do a little bit, I might get this back to a driving range, not in this video, change these weights around just to see what the difference is and what the difference is between the shaft system as well, because that's quite an interesting one. But I mean, most drivers nowadays, they're all going to be performing pretty good. I think what can separate this one from maybe some of the competition, and this is something which I found when I hit the Mizuno driver as well. Distance and performance is one thing, but the feel, that's another. It just feels, it's a decent drive actually as well, but that just feels magnificent. Just lying 3 shots up here, 150, 140, and then 130 down to that pin. That's my drive there that the Crow is taking an overly keen interest in. So these TR20V irons, these are the ones that apparently Justin Rose helped to design. I've got these in a Modus NS Pro Stiff, but the whole club weight actually seems really nice. I'm not sure if the Justin Rose design is something that they really want to shout about, having him left now. But they do look good, they look nice. They don't look quite as nice as the Mizunos. They're a little bit too rounded. I like a slightly sharper edge, especially to the toe. But from a feel standpoint, so 150, I'm just gonna hit a little knockdown 8 iron here. I think the feel's great, although I am oh no, that's not in the bunker. I'm kind of just getting them slightly further left at the moment. So 140 with the 9. Just going to aim slightly further right of the pin here. Oh, what's a strike. God, that felt really good. And the trust at 130. I'm definitely drawing these a little bit more than I normally would do. Maybe slightly more upright than my irons. Oh, look at that though. Stop it. So the TR20P, this is a little bit more of that cut in the back of the club head, so a little bit more power. I've got 198, but I'm going to use the 6 iron. The pin's to the right, and judging by the way that I've been hitting these, I might have to go straight at it because I'm not fading it. Yeah, it's drawing back again, centre of the green. More than enough club, wow. There's actually a super strong flight on that. Right, I've managed to get a cut. Oh, really nice flight again. Just gonna stand a bit more upright. Oh, what a strike. Oh, stop it, the spin. So the grand plan of today's video is actually to do a bit of a direct comparison between these Honmas and my Mizunos, but I can do that right now. They don't look as good, in my opinion. I think the Mizunos have a certain something which just elevates them a little bit. It's just a slight refinement, it's just those little touches which I think look better to my eye. Now, that's not saying it's going to look as good to your eye. This is all very much down to subjective personal opinion. One thing which is not down to any type of opinion is that these irons feel amazing. Like really good. And I don't want to fall into cliche because I think if you're trying to create any type of content, that's a bad idea. But Japanese forged irons just feel amazing. Everyone I've tried. I'm going to put this out there a little bit. I think these Honmas might, and remember it's about the day and how it's all going, these might feel as good, if not slightly better than my Mizunos. I know. So 155, that pin is just screaming, absolutely screaming out for a draw. A-tine. Behind the pin, spin it back to the left. Actually being able to hit a draw, that's a nice little novelty. Oh, a little bit too much. Just to the left of the pin, a little bit too much. Yeah, that's a bit pushy. Forgotten man. That's not that's not the Honma driver. That's my Cobra. As I was saying, almost the forgotten man of this video is this TR20 driver, which still feels great. I think just getting it in my spec would be obviously better. Try and hit this one touch hard. It's downwind, so it's going to reduce a bit of the spin. The line is kind of directly over the corner of these trees, so much more than what you think at Stockport. It's like a right-angled hole, pretty much. Because that might not look it, but that's absolutely perfect. That's going to be perfect. The TR20, the 440 version, this should be more geared towards the better player, really. The 460, you know, that little bit more forgiveness depending on what they do with the weighting. But the word I'd use to describe it, I mean, the feel again is fantastic, but easy, kind of easy to hit. I know it's 9.5 degrees, which is more than I usually use, but yeah, it feels light, feels simple, feels good. So you didn't believe me, did you? Perfect, middle of the fairway. Oh, I'm just gonna get a nice low draw, a nice stingy draw into that. I'll stop it, it's gonna be great. Well, I can definitely draw those irons. That's not an issue at all. I think shaping it the other way, that's the only thing that feels maybe slightly harder, but you know, that's the only compromise that I can really find with these clubs. Well, that was immensely enjoyable, it has to be said. I was really surprised and delighted with those irons. I think the driver for me was the biggest surprise as far as how nice it felt, how easy it was to hit. But it does go back to the stereotype, which is great, and it's true, you know. Japanese manufacturers just make fantastic irons, and they've got an amazing industrial complex over there. You know, after the Second World War, the way it was rebuilt and the amount of equipment and potential that they have in the steel industry is obviously fantastic. And what's really good for us as golfers is that they've turned a lot of that expertise and use into producing some amazing clubs. So guys, I just want to say a massive thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, get it down into those comments below, let us know your favorite Japanese manufacturers. Big thank you to Stockport Golf Club for having me down as well this morning. Course is just looking verdant is the only word I can describe it. Beautiful green. Oh, I love it. Obviously made better by those strikes. What a game.